Yeah.
I'm Babangida, Presidential Library and Museum. And this is the maiden edition. I just want to welcome each of the mothers in the house. Senator, you are really, doing very well, sir. We are happy to have you. And of course, we have all the parts here. Please put your hands together for them. I cannot go one by one to mention everyone that is in the room. I see Professor Tunde Adeniran, the former Minister of Education. I see so many people that are here and present, the one of you, and to assure you of what this is all about.
Tell us about how it happened, the good, the bad, the ugly, but moving us, accelerating us towards a better Nigeria. So I welcome all of us here, and I hope that we'll have such a wonderful time, particularly those watching us online, and of course for those who today, I think I fall into that category we can call our children, because I'm a grandmother as it is now. So I do hope that today's conversation would bridge the gap that we as a country today do not even want to think about. So I welcome all of us here and pray that it will be a springboard for unity, for peace to reign in Nigeria.
Yes, sir.
At this moment, Your Excellencies, I'd like to invite High Chief Dr. Raymond DOKPESI. We all know him as the first indigenous shipping line in Nigeria, establishing the first privately owned radio station, Raypower FM in Nigeria, pioneered Nigeria's first global TV, which was Africa's first ever satellite TV station. I present to us all, Your Excellencies, all very distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, both present at this venue and the several millions who are watching at home. It's my great honor and privilege to welcome you to the first session of the General Ibrahim Babangida's celebration of his 80th birthday. General Babangida, like we all know, was born on the 17th of August 1941. He stormed Nigeria's center stage of political landscape as the 7th Nigerian head of state at the early age of 44 years in a bloodless but daring palace coup. Before him were General Aguiyi Ironsi from 1966 to July 1966, General Yakubu Gowon from 1966 to 1975, General Murtala Ramat Mohammed, July 1976 to February 1979, General Olusegun Obasanjo, 1976 to 1979, Major General Muhammad Buhari, December 1983 to August 1985. General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida later became Nigeria's first head and only military president this far. Worthy of note is the fact that in line with our country's leaders, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida has for reasons positive or negative, remained the most talked about for the 28 years or thereabouts since he left office. His name, his person, or his plethora of political and policy decisions and infrastructural landmarks have been recurring decimals, reference or reference points. Almost 3 decades after, until recently, no former head of state is as much a subject of discourse in streets and enlightened circles. While some heap all the woes plaguing the country on policies, actions, or inactions of IBB, as is popularly known, there are multitudes, on the other hand, who defer to him as iconic, revere and idolize him. Such is the enigma our living legend is. Our hero's place in the history of our country is not only etched in his eventful 8 years as president, it is rather a lifelong story of patriotism, of voluntary conscientiousness and commitment to the service of his fatherland. If this was not the situation, one would easily ask what could have made or propelled such a young person to look for a career in the military, that profession where only men and women of unalloyed love for their country and valor and patriotism choose to dedicate their lives. During the Nigerian Civil War, between 1967 and 1970, the young IBB was at the war front to keep this country united and indivisible. No wonder he still strongly believes in the indivisibility of this country. It is on record that he missed death by whiskers, as he still lives with a troubling bullet buried in the marrows of his bone. As we are all aware, since the calamitous 15th January 1966 coup, the military has ruled this country for about the same equal length of time as the civilians. 29 years for the military and 26 years of civilian. He was definitely not involved in the first coup d'etat that took place in January 1966, but all the other successful coups of July 1960, July 1975, and that of 1985, which brought him to power, he was actively involved. There's no gainsaying, therefore, that to the extent that we cannot wish away the place of the military in the governance of our country, to that extent, we cannot we must place the role of IBB in our collective experience as a people. Although the teaching of history was banned in Nigerian primary and secondary schools, volumes have been written on IBB, on the IBB era, and many more will be written in the years ahead. Let me highlight some of the most prevalent issues on the IBB phenomenon, starting on the positive and sunny side of the divide. A number of citizens still cherish the unprecedented color, glamour, and grandeur that characterized its administration. IBB brought into government a galaxy of headaches, specialists, and professionals, unarguably more than any other leader before and after him. Most notable amongst these were Professor Likoye Ransom Kuti, who turned around the healthcare system in this country, Chief Kalu Ndika Kalu, Professor Tam David West, Jubril Aminu, Professor Jerry Ghana, Professor Sam Oyovare, and too many others to mention who contributed positively and properly to reshaping our destiny as a nation. I make bold to state that even the worst of the critics of IBB cannot but gallant him for his footprints on the infrastructure landscape. This includes the movement of the nation's capital from Lagos to Abuja in 1991, the Kano-Abuja Expressway, and a plethora of other underlining national monuments and edifices. These are besides many agencies and institutions he birthed, and which are still very much relevant and surviving. Amongst these legacy institutions, which for want of time cannot be mentioned here, are the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, National Food, Drug Administrative and Control, NAFDAC, Federal Road Safety, the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, and several others. How can we meaningfully talk about IBB legacies without mentioning the recognition and place of women in his administration? He empowered his elegant, beautiful wife of grace with robust, incisive intelligence, our mother, the late Haja Mariam Babangida of Blessed Mumuru, to play an unprecedented role in the position of women in nation building. The Better Life for Women program still remains the foundation of the placement of women in our society. This exemplary policy is up till today being emulated by all first ladies thereafter. We can now confidently look forward when a woman in this country will become the president due to the position that General Ibrahim Babangida has placed women and the hopes he has given them. On the other hand, his traducers, the traducers of General Ibrahim Babangida, say that he's anything but a saint. They call him Maradona, denoting that he gets his goals by foul means. Is to them an embodiment of evil that gave birth to every plague of the nation. While there is a national consensus that majority of the cesspool's elite class is drenched in the cesspool of corruption, however, without anyone ever bringing forth concrete evidence of proof, some people have somehow succeeded in putting on IBB the putative droga of the grandfather of corruption in Nigeria. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Lagos-Ibadan axis of the media in this country, who were greatly hurt by the cancellation of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, in which one of their illustrious sons, or the illustrious sons of that axis, contested and allegedly won the election, have continuously alleged that about 12 billion naira from the Gulf War windfall has not been properly accounted for. Investigations have been carried out both discreetly and openly, and there is no single evidence to show that General Ibrahim Babangida or his administration diverted or corrupted himself with the resources of this Gulf War stream. During the Gulf War stream that lasted for only a short period of about 1.5 years, how much could Nigeria have earned at that time for this toga to have continuously been propelled by my colleagues in this axis of the media? There's no proof. It is either a deliberate effort to smear whoever has been chosen to be smeared, or indeed at the very worst, it is meant to degrade and bring him down. This country belongs to all of us. As a nation, we must continue to cherish the positive and landmark developments that people have made, the sacrifices they have made for the good and development of this country. The other issue which they refer to is actually what I had mentioned as the annulment of the 1993 June 12 election. Unfortunately, we were active players also at that time. And President Babangida has explained times without number that as we created a situation in the very recent past based on doctrine of necessity, also at that time, the doctrine of necessity. I'm happy that retired David Mapp, President of the Senate, who was champion of that, is also present in the hall. It was expedient in the understanding of the administration at that time to really annul that election. And I think time has passed. We need to rebuild the country at this point in time. We need to move forward and put behind us all those negative tendencies, the biases and abuse that we need. There is no time that this country has been divided, has moved away from the ideals and the efforts which General Babangida led during his 8 years tenure as president of this country, as we have found ourselves today. We are very, very divided. We are at the precipice of sinking and dividing the country into what is not expected. Ibrahim Babangida contributed quite enormously, both to the development of the country and the sustenance of the unity of this country. I join the millions of Nigerians, those of us that are his very strong admirers, to wish him a very happy 80th birthday. We look forward to his being 100 years old, and we shall still be alive to celebrate him for that long. Welcome. Thank you very much for honoring the invitation to partake in this 80th birthday. God bless all of you.
At this moment, before I bring on the panel to start the discussion, I would like to see. Quickly, I just want to do a reflection, because actually that's what we're doing today. Chief Emmanuel Nwanyanwu was born in Atta, Ikeduru local government area of Imo State, southeast Nigeria. He studied civil engineering, and his business grew into a conglomerate of over 20 companies. I had been waiting for that. We have Brigadier General HALIRU AKILU. Good morning, sir. How is Kanu? We will have one other person join us, okay? Right. So, Your Excellencies, all distinguished Nigerians, we have a huge task today. To many who know and worked with him, his tribe and family, many of his highly enduring qualities commended him to all of us here present and those watching out there. We can all agree that he means a lot.
I think the children and all those involved in setting up this deserve commendation. I can say now that of age, we, their parents, can now sleep, that they are taking over. Congratulations and well done. Well, like the chairman said in his opening speech, IBB, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, was born on the 17th of August in the year 1941. Babangida is a year older than me, so I will say we grew up together. We are in the same generation in Mina. He was born in Mina, as the saying goes. His father was working then for the government, and his nature of job takes him traveling from one place to the other. But finally, to make his job easier, he decided to settle in Mina. And at the age of 5, IBB was taken to Shishi to stay with his grandparents. But after a short stay there, his father decided to bring him back to Mina for his education. So in 1950, we were taken to the then Gwari Native Authority Primary School in Mina in 1950. And at that time, the system in the school was 6 years. You do primary 1 to 4, when we are taught in vernacular. And then for the next 3 years, we moved to then senior primary school. So from 1950 to 1957, we were schooling in Mina. Then in 1957, we moved to then Bida Provincial Secondary School, which is now Federal Government College Bida in Niger State. Well, I will say during our younger days, we used to call him Megari. Megari was an up-and-doing young man. He was appointed our class monitor when we were in primary school, and that shows that he has the trend of leadership at his early stage. Now, Babangida's father, Mohammed, may he rest in peace, was a polygamist. He had three wives. Now, unfortunately, the other wife's children did not survive. It is only IBB and his sister that survived. So Ibrahim grew up amongst colleagues, friends, like all of us, growing together in Mina during our primary school days. And like I said, we moved to Bida Secondary School. And there we met other classmates like General Nasco, Garba, and so on and so forth. And later, we were joined by the younger generation like Professor Jerry Gana, who were some years behind us. So during that time, you could see, because of lack of transportation and communications, once we are taken to the boarding school, you must make friends. And this is what endeared Ibrahim to a lot of friends he made. He's quite accommodating, quite generous to a fault, I will say, because Ibrahim is the kind of fellow that he can deprive himself to make sure that you are happy, and so on and so forth.
So from day one, you saw leadership qualities in him.
Correct.
And so you were not surprised at the rate at which he grew in his career as an army officer.
Right. Like I said, during our primary school days, he was made a monitor of the class. And later when we went to secondary school, again, his qualities were always there. And in 1962, our final year, he was appointed as the head boy of the school. So certainly, he has leading qualities that is visible at any place that he. Then in 1962, in December, he then moved to the Nigerian Military College, where he started his military training, after which he moved to India for further training. And on return, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant. And since then, you know, being a military officer, certainly that places him on leadership of men and women under him.
Yes.
And certainly, we could see he has been playing that role perfectly.
Thank you very much. I needed for us to get this historical background, particularly for the younger ones who are watching, for us to know that it didn't just happen. It started from the very, very beginning.
I feel very happy, feel very excited. I'm proud of Aisha. For my friend IBB, you know, to me, I think it's in a lifetime, to be able to see this when one is alive is a great thing. You know, there's a time in the life of any human being when you pause for a while, when you reflect on the past, when you examine the present and peep into the future. And I think for IBB, this is the time to say thus and then be able to say glory be to God. I want to tell you that IBB and IBB has impressed me as a friend. IBB has impressed me as a leader in many directions. I will mention just a few. Now, we have IBB fought the war. I want to let you people know I fought the war on Biafra's side. We fought each other. He had injury. Those who know me now, I used to work with crutches, but I had to go to Johns Hopkins, and I'm wearing an artificial leg right inside me here. And these are problems we got from the war. That's why we are warning younger ones who are causing trouble. We are telling them that it's not a tea party. You see, IBB fought the war, and I fought the war. And we suffered bullet injuries. And the surprising thing is that IBB is somebody who came to power. And I assured those of us who fought the war, the Biafrans, when Nigeria was reintegrated, he made it real. IBB made it real. If you went to IBB's office, you will see it's just like a commonwealth of all Nigerians. In his personal assistants, you have people from all parts of Nigeria. I can't say that of other top people in this country. IBB had people from all parts working for him. He had many friends. You know, so it's an example other leaders must learn. For a country like Nigeria that has got so many ethnic nationalities, people continue talking of presidency because of the enormous power it has. And when people go there, they neglect others. IBB did not neglect any ethnic nationality. He accommodated them one way or the other. So he played a major role. And let me tell you one thing about IBB. I didn't know him very well. I didn't know him during the war. But I fought in the northern sector. I think he fought sometime in the northern sector. Maybe we fought each other at a point. But you see, what happened is that before I joined the army, you know, Biafra was banned, blocked by America, by Britain, by Russia. We couldn't buy arms. So engineers all over the world in Biafra, those in America, those in Britain, who were manufacturing industries equipment, came back and set up manufacturing equipment, what they call research production, under the leadership of Ezekwem. I was in my final year in engineering. They selected 3 best students in science, and then we were involved in the manufacture. So I was an engineer, part of the first rocket produced in Nigerian soil, first of bombs and rockets produced in Nigerian soil. Now, I didn't know IBB. One day, IBB invited me to his office. Apparently, he got information, and then opened up a discussion about economic difficulty of Nigeria. How we were able in Biafra to produce rockets, to produce bombs, and so on. And he heard that I was part of it. Then he talked about it. At that time, I remember he specifically mentioned that oil was selling at less than $10 per barrel. So Nigeria had problem in meeting of oil, And you know, one thing that impressed me, that was my first close discussion with him. He had a part. Even when I was talking, do you know, a head of state was recording what I was saying. I felt very flattered. Then, do you know, after that, IBB told me to go and set up the raw materials at the Women Council of Nigeria. Many people don't give him credit. IBB was the person who founded the raw materials at the Women Council, and because he was worried that most of our raw materials we have, virtually all materials you require in the world here in Nigeria, foreigners got them raw, take them, process them, and sold back to us at their own price. So he told, and then I went there as the first chairman. I worked with the council, and we were able to do a lot of job. After, see, one thing is that for IBB to have confidence on a person called Rebel, that time we were all called rebels. For IBB to have confidence, because he believes that we can do, that is why Igbos have confidence in him. We know he's married to our daughter. Igbos have confidence in IBB. Nobody should make any mistake about it, because he gave us respect. When he was in power, there was no discrimination. We don't want him to bring everything and give to us. But everybody should get his share. Recognize us too. IBB recognized him. I'm the chairman, by the way, for avoidance of doubt. I'm the chairman of Council of Elders of Igbos worldwide at the moment. So when I speak, I'm in a position to speak for the Igbos. So he was very good to Igbos, but he married our daughter. So he's our son-in-law. But that is not the main issue. It's the capacity. So I'm very proud.
I'd like to take that from you, because I'll still come back to you.
Okay.
I like the fact that that is the capacity. Brigadier General AKILU retired. Can we have him back online? And yes, thank you. That's him. Quickly like to just reflect on who Brigadier General HALIRU is. Was commissioned in 1967 after he attended the Nigerian Defense Academy. He later attended Junior Staff College, War Minister in 1973, Command and Staff College, Pakistan in 1979, King's College London in 1983, and the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Kuru, 1989. General AKILU has, as we know, he's an officer and a gentleman, and he later became commander of the 146 Infantry Battalion that suppressed the Meitazini religious riots. General AKILU later joined the Directorate of Military Intelligence as a lieutenant colonel. He replaced General Aliyu Gusau as Director of Military Intelligence and was a member of the Armed Forces Ruling Council from 1989 to 1993. He worked alongside General Aliyu Gusau in reorganizing the security and the intelligence apparatus. He was one of the team that supported the breaking down of the then National Security Organization, NSO, into 3 organizations: the State Security Service, SSS, now Department of State Services, National Intelligence Agency, NIA, and the Defense. And I think you would know as an intelligence officer. So share with us that which can actually bridge the gap of divide that we talk to, well, the country is facing, as it were. Speak to us about that quality that has endeared IBB to you. You have the floor, sir. Can you unmute?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. The technical team, can you put this together, please?
You see, IBB is one of the most investigated, ridiculed, praised individual former head of state. He has paid his due, and like I said earlier on, he's very accommodating, very generous man to a fault. And even at his retirement, IBB is always thinking about Nigeria and its future and how the country is doing. So, like the chairman said, I still repeat, he has got the love of this country in his heart, and he's always concerned of how things are going. The chairman also alluded to the fact that I think IBB is one of the most misunderstood individuals in the country. But by and large, you could see by his action what he has established in the country. We are still enjoying the benefits of some of the infrastructures he has brought in. Like the chairman said, he moved the capital to Abuja, and you can see how Abuja is one of the greatest, fastest growing capitals in the world.
Well, I'd like to come back to you because Chief Nwanyanwu, were...
And he loved our sister so much. And we respect our sister. And in fact, our sister has died. It pained us so much. It pained IBB. I'm not sure IBB had recovered from the death of the wife because they are very close. I know that they were very close. It was very painful. Our sister was very good to us, and I think I will recommend to the President General of our Igbo, he's going to be given posthumous honor because of the services he rendered to Igbos and to Nigeria. The chairman of this occasion has already mentioned the better life for women, which is a very important job because she started this idea of concern for the plight of women. Today, that battle has reached a crescendo. People are fighting. So it's a very important battle. So we are very, very happy about, I'm very proud of her. And I thank God that IBB is alive today. That is my greatest joy. In most cases, when people die, people start talking about them. The Julius Caesar Marquez says that the evil good the men do is buried with them. The evil is what everybody propagates. So I'm not worried about all the stories they talk about IBB, to be honest. There is no leader in the world that hasn't got this type of story. But the point is that IBB has not been found in responding. You see, a leader must have a machinery for swift response. This question of two issues that worried us was this Delegiwa thing. Delegiwa is fake news. Today, we have heard about fake news. Nothing is fake news, but I think it was not properly responded to. So it became, this man, propagandist, German propagandist said that one lie is told several times, it comes true. That Delegiwa thing is a fake news, obviously. Now, the other one is the cancellation of result. There is no way one person alone cancel that thing to comprise so many. Nobody in that place protested to the Nigerians that time. There were members of Supreme Military Council. None of them protested or resigned his position because of that. None of them. So the truth is that normally when there is any problem, but you see, I think, you see, what we are doing today is alive. Let this be a forerunner to what could bring, because what he has done, if we can take stock of it, count it one by one. I mean, nobody. I'm challenging the press today to go and count it one by one. I have done it myself. The chairman has mentioned a lot of them. The headquarters. I know the problem of moving Abuja, from Lagos to this place. It's not easy. History has it on record that he is the person who had the courage to come here. There are so many things he has done. So I think really that after this, the narrative may improve. And
I would just like to say that I actually wanted you to give, a further insight into this tribalized IBB.
Yes.
Is there a strength for growth that Nigerians need to, especially Nigerian leaders? Is this something that we all should embrace? Because in whatever strata of human development you find yourself, there's always a leader. Going forward and building a better Nigeria, what are these strengths in IBB that we all should clamor for or endear ourselves to?
Now, see, when you assume a leadership of a people, a multi-ethnic people, it's a very delicate situation. And you must realize that you have to carry everybody along with you. If you run election, for example, and you win, the moment you win, you are sworn in. You are now the leader of both those who supported you and those who didn't support you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I'd like to hear from the general on this detribalization and moving forward as a people.
Well, like the other speaker said, once you are a leader, regardless, everybody is yours. Because you are, at that particular time, you are the leader, and people, you are supposed to look after the welfare of the citizens of the country. I think maybe AKILU is...
I think we can have Brigadier General AKILU now.
General Babangida was asked to take over from Garba Dada as the brigade commander, brigade major. It was a sector, but still we had a brigade major. He took over from Colonel Dada as the brigade major, acting brigade major. I think it was in June, July 1968. I had a commander, a battalion commander called Colonel A.A. Gora. He was then a major also. Major Gora and myself visited the sector headquarters, and there we met Major Ibrahim Babangida as the brigade major. There was an incident that attracted me to such a gentleman and a kind-hearted officer. Those who knew A.A. Gora, Major A.A. Gora, my battalion commander then, they knew was a bully. Major Gora asked for a bottle of beer, and the barman was not quick in bringing his order. Unfortunately for Major Gora, he descended on the boy, abusing the boy, trying to punch him. There and then, for the first time, I saw Major Babangida very furious. He stood up and said, "If you touch this young boy, I will punch you also." So you can see an officer who cares for the welfare of his junior, whether officers or men working under him. That was how the mess became so rowdy. People intervened. I was the only officer in between. I had to intervene. So we pulled out Major Gora, and Major Babangida was persuaded to let the issue die, and we pulled Gora out and drove back to Ihube. So you can see the type of officer. And we learned right from his secondary school days that was his one of his qualities in standing by the junior officers. And that is how his own courage, his own kindness and generosity, and also intelligence galvanized all the young officers behind him, especially when the time came when the change of government was being considered. There was no hesitation of many junior officers to support General Babangida. So this is the little. And on the family side, I was also wounded on the war front in 1969. I was flown to 44 Military Hospital in Kaduna, and I think General Babangida was then flown to Lagos and was critical. And when we recovered, we met in Kaduna. And that was when he decided to get married to Mariam Babangida. And the marriage was in September 1969. And we all happened to be in Kaduna. I was invited for the marriage. Unfortunately for me, the two families of Muhammad King and that of Major Babangida were at the dinner party of the wedding. There I sighted a young girl, a beautiful young girl, and known to me, she was part of the family of Muhammad King. The father of this girl was a junior brother to the mother of Mariam Babangida. So the connection of, beside the military connection, and then we came to have this family connection, very close family connection with General Babangida. People are wondering, are saying, look, you always have blind loyalty to this man. I explained to them it's not because of his name, Ibrahim Babangida, it's because of the qualities he has. He is a gifted person. Gifted in the sense he is courageous, kindness to a fault. General Babangida, I remember he had only one car, and a friend of his asked him for a car, and he gave him out that car. So you can imagine how generous someone could be. You having only a single car, a friend of yours in need, and you gave him such a car. His loyalty to his friends is legendary. General Babangida is loyal to his friends. No matter what, he will never betray you. He will never go after you. We had a friend, a common friend called Idris Ibrahim. He was a senator, Senator Idris Ibrahim. He was once a minister also. Idris Ibrahim was always attacking IBB. They came from the same place. They grew up in Mina. I'm happy General ABDULSALAMI is there. And when I was asked to come and talk about the family, I was saying, why are people like General ABDULSALAMI ABUBAKAR, General Mogoro, General Garba Duba? And now, when I saw him attending the panel, I was so happy because he knows IBB better than any one of us. So, talking about his friends, Idris Ibrahim was always going after IBB. So I was the military director of military intelligence. I went to IBB and said, look, I will fix this your friend up. He said, what? Who? Say Idris Ibrahim. He said, no, don't touch him. He is my childhood friend. I said, and so what? This is what he is doing. He did this, he did that. He said, no, don't bother. So I went and confided in General Abacha, who was the chief of army staff. I said, this is what happened between me and her. He said, well, you are joking. You don't know your president. President Babangida is one who will never forsake his own friends. So if you are his friend, he will never betray you. So people who are bringing the case of VASA and IBB, they should go deep and find out exactly. We were there when it happened, and we had inquiries, we had a panel, we had a tribunal which looked into the case, and if General Vasa was innocent, nobody would have convicted him. Unfortunately, General Vasa was the leader, the most senior officer behind the attempted coup of 1986. So people should not jump into conclusion without knowing the facts. And on the, if you are looking for a patient officer, patient leader, go to IBB. IBB is a very patient individual. He will never jump into a conclusion without really finding the details, analyzing them, and having the best solution. And I had the moderator or the general saying IBB had the best of brains during his administration. Yes, if you look at the glassy of brains, IBB are invited, both on the side of the military and the civilians. I think up to today we haven't seen an administration that can match that. And the people are forgetting about Dr. Chu Okongu, who was our Minister of Finance and later on Minister of Petroleum, one of the best brains brought from America to join the administration of IBB. Professor Jibril Aminu, Chief Clement Apongu, Bola Ajibola, and so many others. Mr. Emmanuel was talking about the where I will remember, I can remember, I think Mrs. Aribi Salah was the chief executive of that mineral, I will remember the name, but she was the chief executive of the department created by IBB. And I would like to emphasize the courageous attempt by IBB to create so many departments, so many outfits that make sure Nigerians were guided despite the little money he was earning at the time of his administration. The creation of the three organs of the intelligence, the SSS, the DIA, and the NIA, we started from the scratch. And today, go and see the infrastructure they are occupying is the effort of IBB. The military cantonments in Abuja, I thought subsequent administration would have emulated the IBB by building more barracks so that the military will have enough and comfortable accommodation. Unfortunately, since the first set of barracks we built, there was no additional barracks for the military. So this is, so you can even again go to the Federal Secretariat and see, even maintenance today is a difficult thing for the administration to maintain the infrastructure built by IBB. I am happy we had a leader who was visionary and who was courageous to take action, to take decision at the right place and at the right time. I'm happy today Abuja is a reality. He took the decision when many of us were saying, look, maybe it was not time, it was not the right time, but single-handedly, he said, if you are not coming, I'm going. And I want to tell the audience, IBB had a plan to build a permanent headquarters for the Ministry of Defense. It's one of the infrastructure he wanted to be built in Abuja. In 1987-88, he mandated General Damkat Bali, then Minister of Defense, to go and look for a site in Abuja. Just give me a site. Forget about everything. General Damkat Bali asked IBB, he wanted the plans, and he was given a sort of replica of American Pentagon. He asked IBB that he was going to engage a consultant. Funny enough, the contractor who was asked to be ready for the job was Julius Berger. Yet IBB said, okay, go and get the consultant. For 4 years, Damkat Bali couldn't come back to say, okay, we are ready and the site is here in Abuja. Again, unfortunately, when General Abacha took over as Minister of Defense, we repeated the same appeal. I was one of those who went to Abuja and surveyed for a place, a suitable site for the Ministry of Defense. We got where the DIA is today. That was a beautiful site, a beautiful, very large area for the Ministry of Defense. Unfortunately, General Abacha did not take action. He didn't deem it fit to say, okay, here we are, let us start. You people, some of you have visited the headquarters of NIA, Nigerian National Intelligence Agency, where I supervise the development of the infrastructure, you will see what we mean by giving Julius Berger jobs to do during our administration. It's one of the best and well-sited infrastructure in Abuja. If you haven't been there, I want you to please take a visit and see the wonders of Abuja. It's one of...
Well, I tell you that... Reveal the man, things you didn't know about him, things that we need to know about him and learn from it and move on as a people. As we close this first panel, I would just want the final words from each of you. I would start with Chief IWUANYANWU.
Chief Bernard IWUANYANWU, a baby of Ata, it was a man in my village. Now, we were in the mortuary on the day we were to bury him. I was in the mortuary. The news went round that IBB was inside the mortuary. It was raining very heavily. I couldn't believe it. Worry, not here in Abuja. I said, what? He said IBB was, somebody came and whispered to me, IBB was there and had an umbrella and it was raining heavily. I came out and I saw him. He was there joining me to bury my father. He followed, he's not a Christian, he's a Muslim. We went from there to the Cathedral of Configuration of Lord, Worry. He followed me to the church. After the church service, he followed me to my country home. He spent the whole day with me. I think he came with a private jet, so he had to go back. He had to go to the airport and return to Abuja that day. I was moved by that. I have never seen such behavior before. So if you want me to give a final word, I can say that, see, we have chronicled a lot. I mean, we have seen him in every ramification. That what in leadership is an excellent leader. In human relations, he's a humanist. He's a philanthropist. A man who has a car, and then somebody he gave it to him, and that is true. So we have seen that this is somebody balanced. So he has been misrepresented. And mark you, IBB is not the only leader in the world who is being misrepresented. All leaders are misrepresented. But it's for the leader to tell his own story. If you don't tell your story and others tell it, they won't tell it in your favor. I think today, IBB is now starting the process of telling his story. I feel happy to see Absalam here. It was IBB who introduced me to Absalam. Then Absalam was the commander GOC at Enugu. So we met that time. He was a commander GOC. Then he was not the head of state. And he used to visit me even at the Warrior. So we established very good friendships. I knew Absalam through IBB. So I think my statement to our friend IBB is not that today, as he now peeps into his future, as he now celebrates his 80th birthday, he must now state very clearly, he has seen that like that general, that great general who came and who served and conquered, he should shout with joy that I came, I saw, and I conquered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll go back to Mina. And as it is, because what we've done is brought Mina here to this hall. And for a man who had seen him through his 80 years minus one. So let's hear from you, sir, as we, pull the curtain on this first panel.
All that I can say is I wish IBB many happier returns of the same day. He should continue with what he has been, being a caretaker, a friend to all, and sundry. To illustrate the feeling of this general, Mr. Chibanyawu mentioned about Mariam. I remember when Mariam passed away and she was being brought back to Mina, I could see the whole Niger State turned up to the airport to receive. And that, touched Ibrahim that he bursted into tears. Not that because his wife passed away, because of the love being shown to him and his family. And he earned it because you reap what you sow. So again, I want to congratulate the IBB family, the organization, who deemed it fit to set up this a conversation. I wish him well. I wish the family well. And I hope we keep meeting together with him as we do to share the old stories that we all cherish. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Blind loyalty, that's what people give to him because of the qualities that he has. Kindness to a fault. Forgiveness. This indeed has been a revealing moment. We recall that I did a documentary on his late wife as a gender activist that I am, and for the voice that Auntie Miriam, as we called her then, gave to Nigerian women. And my phone rang endlessly. I wasn't familiar with the number. So I rang back. Who is this caller that won't allow my phone to rest? And in his usual chuckle, he said, "MOJI, this is IBB." And I said, "Sir, good evening. I didn't know it was you. I don't have your number." "Yes, you don't have this number. But thank you for that good documentary. and the reflection of your sister and your auntie. And I think that's what IBB does. He brings it home. It's not just about office, but the fact that he reflects to you as a member of the family. Beyond being a leader of this country, you have also been a good father, because that's what Aisha and her siblings reflect. And so on, thank you very much. Happy birthday to an exceptional leader, IBB at 80. Thanks.
One that has made significant marks of this great nation. As we may all recall, since Nigeria's independence in 1960, IBB, as he is fondly called, remains one of the very few Nigerians that got the privilege to serve his fatherland. He did this with undisputed patriotism and sacrifice. He served as Nigeria's president for 8 years.
Let me please challenge you in thanking God for forgiving. It's been a long journey, but thank God that we almost arrived at the destination. Because you cannot live another 80 years. I'm particularly happy with the achievement of it. And I don't want to put it there. Because it's a clear view that the only leader in the country was. So, the only thing we can give you, there's no pressure, you can give it as success. Yep. One thing by God. God bless you as you do with the family, which seems to be very devoted to you. And wish them very enjoyable day. God, the mighty God, continue to bless us and bless our country as well.
He is a patriot and a political leader. In his military career, he was a key factor in uniting this country. He fought the Civil War, he sustained injuries, and injury during wartime depends on the part of the body that you received the bullet. You could have died in the process. From there, he became the head of state. So you see clearly that he has paid his dues in terms of the unity of this country, bringing this country together. As a military head president, one thing about Babangida is that he recruited some of our best brains as members of his cabinet. And I've been listening to some of them, some of their comments. And we know that as at that time, even now, Babangida's team were among the best. And they did very well. He was also known as somebody who was detribalized. And people give credit to him. And that's why up to date, he has friends across the entire length and breadth of Nigeria. He did very well. His ministers have already spoken, so I didn't want to bore you. In terms of the economy, in terms of our foreign relations, and internal security, he did very well. And Babangida is a good and solid political leader. He left office about 28 years ago as the president. But if today, anybody who is aspiring to hold a very high office, political office in this country, will go to Mina Hilltop. Somebody who left office 28 years ago as the military president. It shows his level of sagacity, the way he has friends, his willingness to help, his willingness to carry people along. And he's still one of our leaders today that the traffic to his house is quite tense. I visited Babangida several times from the time I was interested in becoming a president, when I was serving as a president, and even after leaving office. And I can attest to the fact that he's loved and liked by people. This doesn't happen by accident. It's because of his nature, his human relationship, and how he sees the country, the whole country, as his own constituency. Today is a special day. Myself, my wife, and my family, we wish President Babangida and his family, his friends, and well-wishers, and his fans, a glorious 80th birthday celebration. We want you to live more so that you continue to mentor the young ones. We believe that God will continue to give you more life and the vigor and energy to continue to impact positively on our society. I thank you all.
I knew Babangida from way back to 1974, 73, 74, when I visited the Bida Secondary School to talk to the Form 6 boys at that school to try to encourage them to join the army. And as I understand, he was head boy at that time, and about 10 of them from that school later on joined the army. After that visit, and of course he did exceptionally well at his various training programs. And of course, he then, when he became an officer, he served very loyally. He served, with greater, passion, and did very well during the Civil War, leading his men into the fight in order to keep Nigeria one. And I remembered a lot of times when my younger brother returned from the front line, he will tell me of their commander, Ibrahim Babangida, a very courageous soldier, a great leader. He led in the front, and he did exceptionally well. I was so impressed by this particular young officer that my younger brother, late younger brother, Captain Isaiah Gowan, told me about. And, I thought that young man certainly should be my ADC. But of course, events after that, made it impossible for him to be my ADC. It seemed as though it was an omen for him, an omen of things, to come, that he will not only be, a general, but also a commander-in-chief and head of state, of Nigeria, virtually taking over my previous, post. Now, that is Father Ibrahim Babangida that I remember. And of course, we've heard how well he's done in various areas of life, in politics, as a president, in foreign affairs. We've had the glowing report by those who acted either as foreign ministers or ambassadors during his reign. He did exceptionally well, and in politics, of course, he did so well that I think in the end he was called a Maradona of Nigerian politics at that time. Certainly, I'm glad that in fact it was Maradona that was named, that he was not named Messi. Otherwise, it would have been a terrible accolade. And so he did exceptionally well. And I know that his option A4, he drafted me in that in that particular program, for the NRC, and of course, I know I did not make it, beyond, the preliminaries, of the election, and so, one can say that Ibrahim had done exceptionally well throughout his life. And as president, he certainly gave the country, quite a lot of, good, ideas to make, for Nigeria to make progress, for Nigeria to continue the oneness that is required of it. So I would like to say, really, Ibrahim Babangida, we're all very proud of you. You've done very well in your life, and you've succeeded in being certainly somebody that should be remembered, that that should be, that something should be created in memory, of him, of you. So I would like, to end by saying my congratulations, a happy birthday to General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. So can we all, up to the count of the three, start to sing happy birthday to General Ibrahim Babangida? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear General. Happy birthday to you. Hip, hip, hip.
Hooray.
Hip, hip, hip.
Hooray.
Hip, hip, hip. 80 times. Thank you.
General Gawan, how are you, sir? Nice to see you.
Thank you very much, General.
How is the weather over there?
Well, you know the English weather, what it is. Warm today, cold tomorrow, smooth the next day. But however, it is reasonable.
Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself and come back safely.
That's your worry. We'll be back as soon as possible.
Good, good.
Thank you.
Sir Shoneka, how are you, sir?
You just jump in. Let them go.
The Maradona himself. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Happy return.
Thank you.
It's a pity you will not be able to climb and bring mangoes down as you used to do. Well done.
Thank you. The chairman of the occasion, High Chief Raymond, my senior colleague, General Jaglaw, my colleagues, Ebele Jonathan, President, Ernest Shonekon, Head of State, my younger brother, General ABUBAKAR, the President of the Senate, my good friend, brother Benjamin, my very good colleagues that I will serve this country together. I want to pay my special gratitude to all of you who have time to come to attend this Before, my job is easy, it's a vote of thanks. But I will probably tell you two stories because a lot of you said some stories. The first one has to do with General Gawan himself. In 1959, it was, I'm talking of about 72 years. He visited our school and he had a teacher. His teacher was also my teacher, somebody called Onimole. And he was recruiting younger generation to go into the Nigerian army. So Mr. Onimole introduced him. He said, boys, this is Yakubu Gawan. He was my student. And he was a good student. He does his homework, and when he does it well. Yakubu Gawan, as usual, very smartly dressed, and every one of us wanted to be like Yakubu Gawan. So, my dear sir, you have been very inspirational to me as a person. That's story number one. Story number two, during the war, I got hit, and I was in the hospital, Lagos University Teaching Hospital, being taken care of by one Professor Elebute, a very good man, a very profound professor of not medicine, he was a specialist. He's a surgeon, he was a surgeon. At that period, General Gawan was getting married, I believe, to my good sister. And in the hospital bed, I was saying I wanted to get married just like General Gawan did. And by God, followed the system meticulously, and this is what I was looking forward to. When I got out of the hospital, the first thing I did was to start thinking of getting married. Again, my inspiration was I want to thank you, sir, because I made a good choice. And then the other story I wanted you in this public, in this gathering to share with me. My friend David Mack, two events happened during the course of our service in the country. Somebody, typical Nigerian 419, called David Mack. And the first thing, he addressed David as David. Suddenly, David decided that this man must be 419. He couldn't have been Babangida. Because I always call David Oga David. So he abandoned, he just dropped the telephone. Later he told me the story. I said, I'm glad you know this. But one of the most important things he did to me, he came to my house during after some 28 years ago when I left office. He said to me, I said, yes, Oga David. He said, I have come to give you one advice. So I was listening to Oga David. Oga David said, you have no regret, you shouldn't have any regrets for serving this country. You have served this country very well. He was worried about the media frenzy about this man called Babangida. What he told me then was very instructive. He said, your children are growing. They were just becoming elderly in secondary school and in the universities. He said, whatever they read about you, you should convince them that you have served this country, you have done the best for your country, and they should do the same. They should emulate you. They shouldn't be afraid whether they abused you publicly or whatever. Tell them that you have served this country and you served this country diligently and you want them to do the same. I was very, very touched by what David Mark told me, and I took his advice very, very seriously. Anytime they read anything wrong about me, they come to me to talk to me. So and so said this. Is it true? I will tell them no, it's not true. And as much as possible, I was able to tell them the true picture, the true story. So, Oga David, thank you very much for for the advice, because that has helped me in my life and with my relationship with my children. Once more, thank you very much indeed. I want to convey my gratitude to all of you who have found time to be here today, and to thank you immensely. I took time, even though not very well, but I listened to each and every session. And what kept on coming to my mind when you were talking was that I made the right choice of patriots whom I believe with whom we could work together for the sake of this country. You have all worked for this country, and you have worked very well. And this country has every reason to be very proud of each and every one of you. We find ourselves serving a country for the benefit of future generations, and you did well, very, very well. I want to publicly acknowledge the role that each and every one of you played during the course of our administration. I can't thank you enough. I say thank you very much. And for my older colleague, General Gawan, please convey my best wishes to your very dear wife. She has been inspirational to my wife. My wife has always talked very well about her. So convey our best wishes to her also. Once more, thank you very much.
Okay.